Hello, hello. Welcome on this beautiful Monday. This is your mental health hookup with Barbara Wilson. I'm your host, Jason Downs, and this is a special broadcast here at KHTS, your hometown station, because mental health is important to us, and we believe it should be important to everyone in Santa Clarita. Today is November 29th, and I'm so glad you've joined us here on Mental Health Hookup. Here's to a great show, a great day, and a great week for all. Barbara, we are so fortunate to have you in the studio once again. How do you do? How do you do?
Thank you for having me.
So great to have you here. And as we like to do when we have these special shows, we focus on the mental
Mental
health.
health. Yes.
and and what's on your mind right now these days as we approach the holidays? What's on your mind? What concerns you for us folks out there trying to trying to make it through?
My concern at this time of year is getting through the holidays. The holidays are wonderful on television, in the media. And for some people, the holidays are really wonderful, but that's not true for everyone. And so I want to just give a shout out today for the people who may be struggling, how to get through the holidays, how to not be a downer to other people, but they really are not feeling celebratory. And shout out, there's an article that someone sent me just as I was leaving about, I guess it was in today's LA Times, where a woman shares her story about trying to get help for her brother who had serious mental illness, came from a good family. They did all the right things, but somehow this young man is in real trouble, in and out of jail, in and out of institutions. But it started with mental illness, and so untreated mental illness.
Hmm.
And so I just want to give a shout out to all of the people out there whose lives have been affected by loving someone who has serious mental illness and who they're not able to access the care and the treatment that they need in order to be stabilized. So,
Okay. Well, let's call this show "Getting Through the Holidays," then, shall we? For anyone out there who's struggling, and in fact, since we do have Barbara in the studio, we always like to give folks the chance to call in and speak to her personally. So if you would like to do that, the number here is 661 298 5487. That's 298 5487, and our lovely engineer, Patty, will screen our calls, and we welcome you. We welcome you to call in. So, Barbara, what would you say is one of the main issues that folks struggle with as the holidays approach and as they arrive? What do you look out for?
well, one of the things that I notice, and I would urge everyone to notice, really, I don't use that word everyone very often, but everyone needs to pay attention to their inner core. You know, have a conversation, sit down quietly, wherever that is, in your car or someplace in your home. Have a conversation with your insides and say, um, self, how am I feeling really? What's going on really? Not the self that you want to put out to the world that I'm fine, everything's fine, but what am I feeling in real time? Because we cannot help what we really feel. Even if what we really feel is not particularly popular, um, until you get in touch with how you really feel inside, you can't move forward because you're too busy focusing on, oh, I shouldn't feel this way. Oh, I shouldn't. I should be happy. I should smile. One lady told me yesterday, I like to put on a mask because my family expects me to be cheerful and happy. And so I have to put on a mask, but the mask is getting hard. So if you have to put on a mask, take a moment and just have a conversation with yourself and see, are you putting on a mask? That will lead you to the next step, I think. If you're putting on a mask, stop it. At least for the moment, stop it.
Are you saying figuratively putting on a mask, or because we're all wearing
No,
masks
I'm
on a
not
daily?
talking about the mask that is health related. I'm talking about the mask that many, I don't want to say this is gender specific, but I know it because I am a female. Many females are trained from early childhood to put on a figurative mask to appear to be happy, to take photographs and smile when inside you're crying. That mask is what I'm talking about.
Hmm.
And that mask will lead you to do sometimes very self destructive things because you are really not addressing the source of you just don't feel like it.
Hmm.
And sometimes, if you can just take a half an hour away for yourself, you can feel better. Just taking a little time away from having to be on. So
Sure.
there's that.
So we have Barbara Wilson here, mental health hookup here at KHTS, and Barbara has been a practicing clinical social worker for 50 years here in California. So quite a bit of experience. And we're talking today about how we get through the holidays for those of us who struggle with that and are having a difficult time, particularly during this time of year. So so Barbara, you were just talking about, I guess, first identifying whether or not you you feel like you have to put on
Hmm.
that figurative mask,
Yes.
that smile, that and so if you are someone who feels that way, I mean, to an extent, that's kind of the human condition. I mean,
Hmm.
we go out in the world and we have to put on, we put on a smile now and again. I don't think that's what you're talking
Hmm.
about. It's something a little bit deeper. So uh, when it's really a struggle to put on that smile, or it's continual that you feel that way so often that that's when they should reach out to someone like you. And
Well, let's talk about some signposts. So, one is I think people can talk to themselves and see, are your feelings factual? Maybe you have feelings that say, I am the worst person in my family. And there's all kind of evidence that people in your family will go, no, you're not. You're a wonderful person. So check out whether or not your feelings are actually factual. Perhaps you lost people or loved ones. I have a guy who lost his cat of 14 years. That for him was a huge loss. When people lose animals, many times that is devastating. That you don't have that animal, that cat, that dog that's always been part of the family pictures, and now they're not there. So I think we just need to pay attention to particularly losses. I know a lady, she lost her uncle, and because of the disease element, she was not able to be with him in his final hours. Instead, she had to be in the parking lot talking to him on Zoom. And, not only what does this do to her, because now he's not here for this holiday season, that was her favorite uncle, but also what does it do for the people that are in that job holding that Zoom camera? Over time, that gets to where it bothers them, maybe professionally, but also sometimes personally, that maybe they have a very stressful job and they just don't feel like smiling. They don't see anything to smile about this year. So give them some space, be mindful that not everybody's having a great time this year.
well, I also find that I stress about the money that
Mm.
I sort of am looking. rather than looking forward to the holiday, it sort of, I don't know, somewhere in the past few years has become more of a burden, a stressful sort of burden in that way because okay, here we go again. Gotta buy all these all these gifts for all these people, because that's what's expected and that's what's required, and it's become kind of this thing. And also it seems like it was just here. It seems like it just ended. I just took down all the decorations. That's what I mean. It means work to me. You
Yes.
know,
Yes.
there's a lot of work around the house that. I mean, my kids are older, and so that yes, they do help, but it's still
Work and expense.
work and expense.
And I used to call it forced spending
Thank
because
you. Yes.
as a former parent, I mean, I'm still a parent, but my kids are now grown. But when I was raising my kids, and shout out to Vista Ridge, okay, it was like I no sooner got done with back to school clothing than now we're having to do Halloween, and right after Halloween, we got to get ready for Christmas. And I was just exhausted all the time. And that financial piece is a burden.
Hmm. I don't know if you have any recommendations for that, but
I do, actually.
okay.
I
What
do.
what?
One of my recommendations for getting through the holidays is stay within your budget.
Hmm.
If your budget is all I can do is make an apple pie and it's a Sara Lee pie, then that's what you do.
Hmm.
You don't burden yourself with, oh, I've got to keep up with my sister who's got a great job and she's going to give everybody these magnificent presents. If that's not your reality, you're between jobs maybe. Maybe the best you can do is to show up and smell good and give everybody a
So
hug.
perhaps the shame of not keeping up with whoever's got the fancy gifts
That's right.
is less stressful than going over your budget.
Going over your budget is guaranteed to cause problems after the holidays. Guaranteed.
Okay, well, thank you for that tip. It sounds like Patty got us a caller here. We have Michelle, and Michelle, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hi, thank you so much for calling. And we have Barbara Wilson here. As we said, she has been helping people for over 50 years in this area. Please tell us what you're going through, and she will happily guide you.
Okay. Hi, Mrs. Wilson. How are you
Okay, dear.
doing? Um, my question is I'm going through a whole bunch of emotions. I had my mom pass away last year with cancer. 6 months after that, my dad passed away with a brain aneurysm. And last year, I didn't celebrate the holidays at all. Um, I was just, I have 3 kids, they're all grown. My daughter and me took care of my mom before she died of cancer, and um, she recently left on bad terms. Um, I don't know how to reach out to her. I have been seeing a therapist and going through a lot of my emotions every time it gets close to October. Um, how do you suggest me reaching out to my daughter and pulling her back in?
Hmm. Wow, you have a lot to unpack here. And
Yes,
I want to say, first of all, thank you for calling and thank you for sharing an amazing amount of pain and loss.
yes,
That can't be easy in our culture where we don't have very many rituals for people that have lost. We have all these amazing Hallmark cards, but none for divorce, for example, because that's a
yes.
loss. So I just want to commend you for having the strength to call in and address the losses and understand why you want to reconnect with your daughter and pull her back in.
Hmm.
One of the things that strikes me is, does your daughter want to be pulled back in?
Right. Um, at first, I was communicating with her. Um, just through Messenger, and she changed her number, and I can't get a hold of her. So now I'm basically, I haven't talked to her for 3 weeks, and I'm giving her her space. Um, Not mad. I have no animosity towards her. My love is still strong for her. Um, I'm just giving her her space, basically. But at the same time, I'm also hurting as well.
Mhm. Mhm.
And it's really hard. Thanksgiving, I finally celebrated it, and there was no call. She never showed up. I had the rest of my family here. So it's really hard. But um, I don't know what to, I mean, I know I have to give her space, but I just don't know how long. Like, do I reach out to her now, or do I just, you know, let her keep her distance?
Michelle, do you mind if I ask how old she is?
She's 20.
So one of the things that strikes me is that if did you say she blocked you or she changed her address or
She,
something?
um, there was a time where last month we got into an argument, and during the course of the argument, I said that I wanted to go to my mom because I wouldn't have all this stress. Well, at the same time, in the heat of the moment, she said, "Oh, now you want to just end your life." And so I kind of like agreed with her. Police showed up. They put me on a psychiatric hold. Um, and I just said, maybe it's just my time to heal myself. Because I can't take the disrespect. I can't take the silent treatment. And then she ended up moving out on her own. I'd never kicked her out. So I don't know. I know she's at her boyfriend's house with the parents, but again, there was no confirmation with their parents. I tried to reach out and they wouldn't let me. So I'm going through a lot, but I'm
Yes, yeah.
strong. I'm
It
really
sounds like you are
strong.
going through it. One of the things I just want to say to you is from a developmental perspective, your daughter at 20 years old that's kind of the age between 16 and about 25. Those are not hard and fast numbers, by the way. But developmentally,
Mhm.
your daughter is doing the appropriate thing for her age, which is trying to find her own footing, trying to separate what is true for her versus what is true for the family in which she was raised. And so that
Mhm.
process, lots of people go through that away from home, like they go off to college or the military or someplace, so they kind of go
Right.
through that on their own and they come back in at holiday time and then they go back to their lives. So that process is called individuation, and that is age appropriate for what your daughter's going through. So some of
Mhm.
what she's going through might not be personal, although I'm sure it
Mhm.
feels extremely personal. One of the things you
Mhm.
can do is to send her little, I call them love notes, send her little
Mhm.
cute little cards, not asking so much about what are you doing and who you're doing it with and what did you do last week and how much money are you spending. Not so much of that parent contact and more just hi, thinking about you. Let it go.
Mhm. Okay.
Send those kinds of little things, maybe once a week, and that way you let her know that you're still thinking about her. She's on your radar, but that you're respecting her need to kind of step away a little bit and leaving the
Got it.
door open that anytime she wants to step through, you're available. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
Yeah,
And
I've been doing that. I've
Yeah.
been I've been doing that, and sometimes I get a comment. Sometimes I don't get a comment back, but when I do get the comment back, I feel like, oh, I touched her. She read it. At least she said, "Hi, Mom, how are you?" And that to me goes a long way.
And Barbara, I have a question here that Michelle sort of prompted me to think about, because I often feel like I put my own stress or my own emotions sometimes on my daughter. I have a 16-year-old daughter. I was a 13-year-old son. So sometimes I feel like after I dump whatever I might be going through, on a given day on my kids, I feel badly about it. I go back to them and I say, look, this wasn't yours for me to burden you with. It wasn't, I went too far here. I'm the adult, you're the child. I shouldn't have laid this on you. So how do we deal with those moments? Because it sounds like obviously Michelle is going through a tremendous amount.
Boundaries, and boundaries.
I've actually felt that same way that you just said,
Yeah.
and I've done the same thing. Yes.
Well, we can hope that Jason might become a therapist in his spare time.
No.
I felt that, Jason. I've actually stepped back too, and I've actually thought, wait a minute, did I just tell her more than I was supposed to, or
Oversharing.
sometimes I just oversharing things, and I'm really close to my daughter. Like, we were really inseparable, me and her. So
I'm sure, but also if you put yourself in her shoes and from her perspective, she's gone through the same amount of loss that you have, and the thought of losing you on top of that might have just been that straw for her,
Yeah. Mhm.
So anyhow.
And I agree with that too.
Well, listen, we need to take a break. If you'd like to stay on the line and talk to Barbara a few more minutes, then I would encourage that. But we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back. We're speaking with Barbara Wilson here, your mental health hookup, and you're listening to KHTS 98.1 FM and AM 1220.
'Tis the season to celebrate. Join the San Diego Zoo for Jungle Bells, presented by California Coast Credit Union. Taking place December 10th through the 23rd and 25th through the 31st. And also January 1st and 2nd, Jungle Bells brings the return of Aurora, a magical and spectacular experience with lights, projections, and music. Also enjoy traditional lighting displays, musical performances, and entertainment. Visit with Santa through December 25th and enjoy tasty holiday treats and much more. Visit sdzwa.org for more info.
See the safari park in a whole new light every weekend and select weekdays starting November 26th through January 2nd, 2022. You can go on a holiday expedition of light and travel through places that glow and twinkle with holiday cheer. Holiday tunes set the mood, and seasonal food treats tempt you throughout your journey. A joyful celebration of the season. For more information, visit sdzwa.org.
Aloha, friends! Go check out Honu Coffee, home of the best cold brew coffee. What makes their coffee special is how their organic coffee beans are infused with nitrogen to create a smooth and delicious cup of coffee. You'll also find traditional bold coffees and island-inspired signature drinks. They're the perfect place to catch up with friends or just relax with your favorite cup of joe. Honu Coffee on Lyons and Walnut in Newhall. Stop by and say aloha.
And now for your convenience, a second Honu location at 23502 Lyons Avenue between Peachland and Apple.
Hi, I'm Tamara Gurney, president of Mission Valley Bank, Santa Clarita Valley's local community business bank. It's been a challenging 18 months, and as we approach the holidays, our bank is pleased to bring you some holiday music in the hopes of uplifting your spirits and spreading some joy during this season. I'd also like to invite you to visit us at our branch located at 26701 McBean Parkway, across from the Town Center, to meet our amazing team. And on behalf of our entire Mission Valley Bank team, we wish you a very happy and healthy holiday season.
I listen to it all day, every day.
Hometown, your hometown station.
Welcome back to Mental Health Hookup here with Barbara Wilson. I'm your host, Jason Downs. This is a special broadcast here at KHTS, your hometown station, because mental health is important to us, and we believe it should be important to all in Santa Clarita. We have with us today Barbara Wilson. She has been a clinical social worker for 50 years here in California, and her practice and her nonprofit, Mental Health Hookup, is dedicated to providing clinical support to families affected by serious mental illness here in the Santa Clarita Valley and beyond. So whatever mental health services you need, she can provide. And whether you want to talk in person or over the phone, this is confidential assistance. So, for instance, today we are lucky enough to have Barbara in the studio, so please feel free to call in, as we just had a wonderful caller. Michelle, you can dial 661-298-5487. That's 661-298-5487, and we welcome your calls. So we've been talking about how to get through the holidays with Barbara, and she's given us some tips so far. And anything else on your
I have a list
of suggestions there? Good.
The number one on the list: make a plan. Make a plan. Create a plan. Start every day. And by the way, I just want to define what I'm talking about. So the holiday season for me starts from Thanksgiving until Valentine's Day.
Oh.
And for some people, they define it as starting with Halloween. But I really think it starts seriously. There's no doubt that once we have Thanksgiving, the Christmas trees go up. We're there.
They do.
Hanukkah, whatever your holiday is, December is hardcore.
Then you've got the New Year, but
And
you're
then
including Valentine's.
I'm including Valentine's. And the reason why, I hear lots of people say, I can get through the holidays, but New Year's Eve and Valentine's takes me out.
Really?
Because I don't have anybody that is going to give me chocolates with an engagement ring tucked in it. I'm single. I don't, most of the year I'm fine with being single, but this holiday that's dedicated to romance and love and sex, I don't have that in my life, takes me out. So we see a spike in depression during that season. Sometimes it coincides with President's Weekend, so lots of people go away for that weekend. They maybe take a trip to someplace that's sunny if they live where it's cold or whatever. So it's really a very emotionally packed holiday, as is New Year's Eve. Lots and lots of very successful people, New Year's Eve, they just somehow zone in on, I'm not good enough, I don't make enough money, my house isn't big enough, my kids aren't perfect enough. They just go down the list of not enoughs, and they end up extremely depressed. So
when you say make a plan,
make a plan.
What how would you go about that?
First thing, every day during the holiday season, every single day, start your day with writing down. I'm a big believer in handwriting versus computer stuff.
Okay.
But people do it however they want to. But start your day, make a list of 3 to 5 things that you're absolutely grateful for. And it might be something so simple as, I'm grateful that I open my eyes and I can see. I mean, if you're really got the blues, you might have a hard time finding things to be grateful for at first. But as you do it and develop that practice, you're starting to see the world a little bit differently. So the world didn't change, but your mindset can change.
You're seeing it differently. Okay, so first suggestion is to make a list
every day.
Every day when you wake up of 3 or 4 things that you're grateful for or that you're thankful. Okay.
That's it.
All right, so it sounds like we have another caller, Barbara. Patty, who do we have?
Her name is Sarah, actually.
Sarah, can you hear us?
Hello. Hi, I can hear you.
Hi, thank you so much for calling. My name's Jason. You're on the line here with Barbara Wilson. She has been helping folks for 50 years in this area as a clinical therapist. Why don't you tell us how you are today, and she'll be happy to help you.
Hi, Barbara. Hi. My question is I'm recently divorced about a little over a year ago, and this is going to be the first official Christmas without being with my ex and my stepdaughter. And I have a 10-year-old daughter who's really struggling with the divorce and missing her stepsister, who she rarely gets to see now, and her dad. And I wanted to know if you could give me any tips on dealing with having our first Christmas really alone, separate with just the two of us. And yeah, but with that, please.
Well, I want to thank you for calling in. And this is a very, very common issue of the holidays that triggers the holiday blues is you have this picture of everybody coming together for the, kind of singing Kumbaya, and then you have this split up in the family. And so now how do you negotiate the holidays and survive? And especially when you have a young one, a 10-year-old. And I'm wondering, is there any possibility of a family call?
Yes, there is.
Because
That's a
if
good idea.
there's a possibility of a family call in this era of Zoom, one of the blessings of Zoom, I myself attend so many Zoom meetings, I'm like zoomed out. But here's a positive use of Zoom is for family get-togethers, particularly where that you have a fractured family. If there can be an agreement with your ex-husband that maybe you guys will have like a 15-minute call so that the kids can connect to each other and they can see the parents kind of getting along, sort of, kind of. Because if it's a Zoom call, you don't have to be lovey-dovey. You just have to not kill each other, right?
Right.
So if you can agree to have a connection for 15 minutes, 30 minutes, not too long, because the longer it goes, the more the more likely that somebody's going to say something that somebody else takes offense to. But if it's time limited so that the kids can have access to each other, that might be a way to connect the kids to each other so that one of the things that happens in divorce from my perspective is what I call collateral damage. So the grown-ups get the divorce, but the kids very often are collateral damage. They
Right.
don't get a say in the divorce. They didn't ask for the divorce, and yet it's huge losses for them. So to the extent that the grown-ups can actually be grown up enough to set aside their differences for 30 minutes on holidays or birthdays, that might be a way to preserve some kind of continuity for the kids. If I had my
Thank you.
wishes, I wish that in divorces the kids would have an attorney like the parents do. So the kids can have a say so like, yeah, I don't want this. Or yeah, you know what? I don't want to go make visitation between two different households with two different sets of rules. Maybe I just want to have one space and the parents come and go. That's a different model that some people are using. I would like to see no lawyers. Instead, we would have mediators that would mediate for the whole family so that we can preserve these kids that are losing so very much when they lose a parent due to divorce or separation. So,
Right.
I
Right.
also,
Well,
this is also spurring an idea, if you don't mind me
I don't.
asking something as well I'll piggyback a little bit here because I think that in some of the more painful times that I have gone through, Friendsgiving sort of, has become an invention for these types of times when family or families split or can't be together. So maybe it's time for a Friendsmas as well, like a Christmas with your chosen family, or extended family, if there's friends of your daughter who maybe can't be with their parents this Christmas because of COVID or who knows what. But, just put feelers out to see who might also be spending the Christmas differently than they normally do, and make it a friendsmas, make it a chosen family kind of day for your daughter.
Yeah, thank you. That's a great idea.
Well, we thank you so much for calling in, and our hearts go out to you this holiday season, so hang in there. Hang in there.
Thank you so much for having me. Thanks, Barbara.
Thank you for calling.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So
back to my list.
Back to your list.
I have number 2 on my list. If you're physically able, moving the body helps move the emotions. This does not mean that you have to run a marathon. Sometimes something as simple as dancing to oldies, remember Richard Simmons, just, moving the body inside your own living room will get your emotions moving, and you'll feel a little bit better. Now,
I like that.
Having said that, if you're a person that constantly runs 5 miles a day, 3 miles a day, every day, and you find that you're just having difficulty getting out of bed, much less running, pay attention to that. That might be a sign that you need to go see a doctor and run that past them, because you may need a light bit of medication to get you over the hump. A lot of people think about seeing a psychiatrist. It's like, oh, I'm not crazy. Well, no. But the number one form of mental illness in America is depression. And many times people don't know they're depressed. It expresses itself like, I don't have energy. I used to be able to do blah, 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 and now it's all I can do to do blah, blah, blah. That's depression. That's how it oftentimes looks. So really important to pay attention to that feeling of everything just seems too much. That's maybe a sign that you need to have a psychiatrist give you a little evaluation, maybe a lightweight medication to get you over the hump, in much the same way people who have been married for many, many years and their husbands die after, 60 years of marriage. Doctor may give them a light antidepressant for maybe 6 months, and then they're never on it again. So people are really concerned about, a lot of people don't even want to see a psychiatrist because they associate it with, that means I'm really, really crazy. And it's not. It's just a bridge to get you from where you are to where you want to be.
It's a tool.
It's a tool. That's exactly right.
It's a tool. So let's take another break real quick. We're talking to Barbara Wilson, clinical therapist for 50 years, and we are welcoming callers. We've had some wonderful callers today. Just dial 661-298-5487. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back here on KHTS 98.1 and AM 1220.
When was the last time you had a business insurance checkup? That long, eh? It's most likely Glenn Terry time for you and your business. Glenn Terry has been a Santa Clarita resident since 1980 and has deep roots in the community. 22 years in the insurance industry, a trusted commercial insurance specialist with LBW, licensed in 50 states. There's nobody I'd trust more. Call Glenn Terry today and set up your free business insurance checkup at 661-702-6005. Glenn Terry sticks to the mission, not the co-mission. Yeehaw!
Make your winter count at College of the Canyons. Pick up a 5-week class to explore new interests, transfer to a 4-year university earlier, or launch your career. Affordable online classes are offered at your convenience. Winter session begins January 3rd and registration is going on now. Seats are open in Asian art history, introduction to business, film aesthetics, intercultural communication, and more. For a full list of open classes at College of the Canyons, visit canyons.edu/schedule.
I listen to it all day, every day.
Hometown. Your hometown station.
Welcome back to Mental Health Hookup with Barbara Wilson. I'm your host, Jason Downs. This is a special broadcast here at KHTS, your hometown station, because mental health is important to us, and we believe it should be important to all in Santa Clarita. Today is November 29th. So glad you've joined us here. So glad to have Barbara Wilson with us. She has been a clinical therapist here for 50 years and has helped many people. We've had some great callers today. We welcome your calls, 661-298-5487. We're talking today about how to get through the holidays if this is a difficult time of year for whatever reason. So please feel free to call in, 661-298-5487. And we'll also share Barbara's number at the end of the show for anyone who wants to reach out to her privately, confidentially. So we've been going down your list of tips to get through the holidays. So we've covered waking up every morning and writing down 3 things that you are thankful for in that moment, even if it's something as simple as, wow, I'm still breathing and I can open my eyes, because sometimes it's hard to think of perhaps some things.
Right.
And the second thing was
Move the body.
move the body. And if you find that it's so hard for you to get out of bed to move the body, even if you are an active person, that's a sure tell sign that you need to reach out to someone like Barbara who can help you just get through, give you tools to get through this moment in your life. There's no shame in that. I've done it several times throughout my life for various reasons, and I am a huge proponent. So, and mental health is something that really does affect all of us as we live in the society together, right? I mean, it's
does.
something that's so important to all our businesses, to our, not just our immediate lives and relationships. It affects the entire community, the collective mental health.
Yes.
And, we are starting to see more folks on the streets than we ever did before. I don't just mean in Los Angeles when we're driving down the freeway. I mean, even here.
Yes.
And it's all related to our collective mental health. Some people are dealing, you said that depression is one of the most common. And that's something that, I mean, say if I was going through a bout of depression, how long does that generally last for an average person?
I think if it goes more than a couple of weeks, you need to start to look at there's length of time, but there's also degree of severity. So, there used to be a chart of happy faces that showed different faces that had emotions attached to it. And, the big ones were sad, glad, mad, worried, And so if a person is a little sad, yeah, but if you're sad and you feel like life's not worth living, that's a different kind of sad. And if you're feeling like, and how I hear this is I had a 16-year-old recently say to me, I should get an Academy Award for my acting. Because when I'm with my dad, I act a certain way. When I'm with my mom and her family, I act a different way. And when I'm at school, I just feel like, what if I just disappeared? Maybe it would be better for everyone. Now that to me is a kid that's considering suicide. But that it doesn't come out like I'm thinking about killing myself. But clearly this kid is thinking the world would be better off if she just didn't exist anymore. So, and there's some wonderful organizations. Having said that, right here in town, there's a gal who does a great amount of service. She has an organization that works with teenagers that are experiencing depression. So, to your question, it's time, but it's not just time. It's also severity.
Well, okay. Thank you for that. I'm also curious now, to your point. Once someone sort of addresses, okay, I am having a bout of depression and I'm doing something about it. how long does that normally last before they're out of it and back to
I
normal?
don't know.
That's hard to.
That's
That's different for everyone.
highly
Okay,
individualized,
of
and it
course,
depends what else is going on that's driving that depression.
of course.
Did this person just lose their mother, for example? Like one of the callers said, she just lost her mother. This is her first holiday without her mother, and you think about how important the role of mother is for a daughter. That bond is extra. Sometimes it's extra layers of maybe they did cooking together for holiday meals, and mom had certain. I know a lady right now, she's in her mid 40s. I remember when she was a teenager, and I knew her mother. Well, her mother has now died, and one of the things she's doing is retrieving her mother's recipes as a way of connecting to the mother that she misses. So there's, so much depends on who, what, when, where, how.
Sure.
Was it a sudden death? Was the person just up and running and doing wonderful things, and then overnight they committed suicide, or they were in a car accident and died? That's a very different response than somebody who maybe had emphysema and they were sick for many months or years.
Yeah.
So it really varies.
All different factors, yes. So what else is
So
on
what else
your
is on my
list of
list? Barbara's
suggestions?
list. Create a one thing a day plan. Because sometimes the most you can do is one thing a day. So if you have this list in your mind that says, oh, I need to do like 25 things by 2 o'clock, and then I'm going to be in the valley by 4 o'clock, and I'm going to have dinner in Century City by 7 o'clock, maybe that's just too much. Maybe you could just dial it all back and say, just for today, I'm going to get one thing done. Just one thing. It might be something as simple as make your bed, or, go get a pedicure. Something really doable. That does a couple of things. It will slow your expectations down, but it also will give you a basis of success that you can measure. So if you get up to 3 things a day and you find like, oh, 3 things, I didn't get them done, maybe not, that's a clue. You dial it back to 2. Tomorrow we're going to do 2 things. So that one thing a day plan really works.
I mean, that certainly rings true for me, because it can compound if you have these little failures each day. I've got my list and I didn't complete them, so
right.
now and then I'm beating myself up because I failed to
That's right.
to complete all the things on my list today, and that becomes something we pile on as well.
I have another thing.
Yes, please.
Include silly things on your list. Not everything needs to have a purpose. Watch silly movies. Make a plan though. I'm gonna watch a silly movie. I don't. None of them come to mind right now. So it tells how rarely I watch movies anymore. But Wayne's World was one I used to watch. Oh my God! It had absolutely nothing related to my job.
Imagining Barbara Wilson watching Wayne's World is...
I watch Wayne's World regularly.
Wow.
I even watch Wayne's World 2.
Party on, Jason.
That is delightful. The next time I'm feeling down, I'm going to picture Barbara Wilson watching Wayne's World.
Party time. Excellent.
Wow.
Shows my generation.
All right. Well, let's wrap it up. Do you have
I have one more
one
thing.
last suggestion?
One last suggestion. Well, 2 actually, but I'll merge them together. Do something for others.
Ooh.
There's a lot of power in doing something for others, even if it's something small. There's opportunities for volunteering. If you've probably got stuff that you haven't used 100 years, you can donate that. Do something for others. Connect with organizations that are doing something for others. And don't forget the power of music.
Ooh, love that one. And here's some music for you, speaking of. This has been such a pleasure. Barbara Wilson, you can reach her at 661-799-7994. That's 799-7994. Thank you so much for being here. As always, I want to thank Jerry and Carl, the owners here at KHTS, for
Me too.
this very important hour. Patty, of course, our engineer. Thank you so much. A pleasure to have you here on Mental Health Hookup. I'm Jason Downs. You're listening to KHTS. Until next time, stay safe, stay informed, and stay positive.